WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. A week or so ago, we went to one of the meetings at the Marion County Literacy Council because this year we're once again participating in the Kiss the Horse for Literacy campaign. And we got to meet some of our competitors, and we've invited them to come in and promote what they're doing. And Dr. Tim Conway is in the studio. He's more than a competitor, though. He's actually on the board at the Marion County Literacy Council. He is a clinical psychologist with a concentration on neuropsychology, a clinical research scientist, the director of the Morris Center Clinics in Gainesville and here in Ocala. My goodness, this is a lot of credentials here. The founder and CEO of Neurodevelopment of the Words Now Corporation. My goodness, this goes on and on. Robin gave me all these notes about you, doctor. and you have you share a name with a famous funny man, huh?
Only for people who are over 30. They know who that guy is.
Other people don't know. Oh, really? Is that what happens there? Well, I told Doug 30, Tim Conway was coming in. He got all excited.
Yeah, he did. He was impressed.
He was wondering if you were going to do that little thing with the fishing rods.
I don't know that one.
I don't even know if I remember that one.
The Dorf on golf. And all that.
Yeah, on the golf one. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming in. It was nice to meet you at the meeting, and you spoke so knowledgeably. Obviously, this is something that's very passionate to you. So it is to us too, but obviously you know it in great deal. I mean, this is what you do.
This is it. This is the science part of it.
So how much does what kind of a psychological effect does it have on a person who is an adult who can't read? Because obviously it's an embarrassing thing.
Right. Most adults will tell you that they really feel like they were not as smart as somebody else if they had trouble learning how to read. And the truth is it has absolutely nothing to do with intelligence. In fact, I've had clients one of our recent clients was a heart surgeon, and he couldn't sound out words, but clearly he was intelligent because he got through med school, and he's a functioning, fully practicing heart surgeon. Yeah. I've had other surgeons we have to treat as well, and these medical professionals, they just had a difficulty in learning how to read, and it has nothing to do with your intelligence. But that's the most common response from adults is, I must not be as smart as somebody else.
And not referring to the foreign language students who can speak and read their own language. Right. They come here, they can speak, but they can't read English. That's a different one. But I'm talking about the person born and raised here.
Right.
What is the normal reason? Why did somebody miss out on learning how to read?
It's a great question, Larry, because we have so much research now about what are learning disabilities, I mean how you define them, as well as what are the most likely causes. Right now, all the research points to it's genetic. It runs in families.
Is that right?
Absolutely genetic.
Isn't that interesting?
If one parent has any family history, their child is 8 times more likely to have a learning disability. If both parents have family history, then you have greater than 16 times increased likelihood that their children are going to have a learning disability.
Is illiteracy a proper word for somebody who can read but can't comprehend? Is that also illiteracy?
Well, we kind of call it under the more medical terminology of dyslexia. Now, dyslexia.
Well, that would be dyslexia.
Really just means trouble with words. But if you take the word apart, it's Greek and Latin portions mean trouble in words, and that's all dyslexia really means. Most people have a lot of myths about dyslexia. They think the kids see words backwards, and they don't.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's the most common myth.
Really?
The newspaper loves it. Gary Larson loved it for The Far Side when he actually do a cartoon about the kid who walks outside and calls his dog God.
Right.
Because he makes the word around. But that's just it's funny humor, but it really isn't accurate what really happens. They do mix up sounds. They'll mix up sounds and words. They will miscall words. They look at was and they say saw, but it's not because they see it backwards. And how we know that is you'll never see a person, either a child or adult who has learning problems, look at the word the, and never in a million years will they go et. They won't say it backwards.
So
if they really did see words backwards, they'd read lots of words backwards, not just those ones that can be flipped around.
Just to maybe ask the question a little differently, even though you've answered it already. The reason I was asking, I know a guy who can't. Well, he can read. He could read the words. I remember in school, he would sit in class and read the words. He had no idea what he read, but if somebody else read it and he heard it, he could understand it.
And we know from, I've done about a dozen years of stroke rehab research, because from stroke rehab, we learn about how different parts of the brain work. We know if you have an injury towards the back part of the brain, you will have comprehension problems, but may have no reading or spelling problems. On the opposite is you have injury more towards the front side of the left. You can have reading problems, but not comprehension problems. And it gets even more specific. You could actually have trouble sounding out words, but not trouble reading sight words. Words like yacht, though, through, words you can't sound that you have to memorize. An injury towards the middle, you actually lose the ability to read sight words, but you actually can sound out words. So we know the brain has different parts who do different things. They're supposed to work together.
So that must go into the memory realm. So through your research and studies, can you help people with dementia?
We know that there's a thing called cognitive reserve. And cognitive reserve means, say, the more knowledge you have in your brain, then maybe your brain's really kind of like a bigger pie. You take a small piece of it, it really isn't a big proportion of the pie. If you have a smaller amount of knowledge, then you got a smaller pie. You take that same size piece, that's a bigger percentage. So the more we build up cognitive reserve, the later you'll see symptoms from dementia, and the later you'll see symptoms from Alzheimer's. But it's not a treatment, and it's not a prevention. Those are other more complex medical issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all of these things are treatable with psychological techniques or treatments?
They're different disciplines. So at the Morris Center, we have a couple disciplines who all work together. They're what we call a transdisciplinary team. Trans means they're trained across the discipline. So we have a clinical psychology, neuropsychology, school psychology, all in that psychology domain. Plus we have occupational therapists. Those are your specialists in the sensory systems, the motor systems, fine motor skills, visual processing skills, coordination. And then we have speech-language pathologists. Those are the experts in the language system. Reading, spelling, writing, speech, comprehension, that's their expertise. So across those three different disciplines, we then can actually use behavioral interventions, which could be occupational therapy, a more advanced speech therapy, or some psychological behavioral techniques, and begin to rebuild these skills.
So the person that you were referring to as a heart surgeon, and he went throughout his whole life and really couldn't read, how was he able to hide that fact from his teachers? Because usually if a teacher catches it, they'll give them extra tutoring.
Right. They'll try to figure out, was there something they can do to help? Reading really breaks down into the three key skills. One is, can you sound out words? Can you look at a word and say the first sound, the second sound, the third sound, the fourth sound, and then blend them together? That's one critical skill we know everyone should have well developed, because that gives you better reading skills. But part of English doesn't work very well. Let's be very frank. English is a horrible language, because like in the word cafe, E says A at the end, but in make it says nothing. But in bait, the A says A like in make, but there is no E in bait, like fishing bait. So you're like, what's the logic behind English? Well, there really isn't any. So the second part of the reading skill is, can you memorize words? And you have to memorize words like sight words like yacht, though, through. But the third skill is meaning. Do you know what words mean? So like that surgeon, he actually could memorize words. He had lots of sight word knowledge, but he really couldn't sound out words well. What that means and functionally is he'll make mistakes and he won't catch it. He'll add a word, leave out a word. He might substitute one word in place of another, or they might kind of twist the sounds of words. He might say, I'm really frustrated. Well, the proper pronunciation is frustrated, the sound.
It's nuclear, too.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Just thought I'd say it.
Or the underlining principle. And so they'll make small changes.
There might be an underlining principle.
There could be, and I could be not being very specifically clear. And so
let me ask you this. You're a perfect person to be on the board at the Literacy Council. How long have you been on the board?
I just joined the board this year.
My goodness, what a resource to have you on the board.
Thanks, my pleasure.
So let me ask you this, since you're on the board. If somebody who is 35, 36, 46, whatever, and they haven't learned to read, now they go to the Literacy Council, wouldn't their same roadblocks that they had when they were a kid be there now? And how do you teach somebody like that who couldn't learn the normal way, the typical way in the first place?
Typical method didn't work for them. Yeah. One hallmark of dyslexia or reading disabilities are traditional methods that really start like phonics principles, teaching what AI says, what does PH say, and memorizing sight words. That's kind of like the second story of this house of reading. There's a first story and there's a foundation. So most academic interventions in the school systems kind of start about the second story and go up. They really don't understand all the underlying principles that really build reading skills.
And so that's what you do at the
Literacy? Our research did. Our research really targeted the foundational skills. It's actually part auditory, it's part visual, and it's part tactile kinesthetic. So like if I give your listeners two sounds and I say and they can't see my mouth at all, they have no idea if I made one sound twice or two different sounds.
I don't know.
Because acoustics is not enough. But if I do it this way and I go and you see my first sound, my lip is bit by my teeth like an F sound. The second sound, my tongue sticks out for a TH. You realize that your eyes had to help your ear figure out what's going on.
You are good.
Wow.
Well, these are the science behind it. And guess what, Larry? This starts developing between 4 and 8 months of age. The babies start watching the parent's mouth. They're trying to see how their mouth moves to get to the auditory and visual working together. But that's not enough. That's not enough for the baby to actually be able to tell what they did because they can't see their own mouth. So how do they know if they made an F sound or a TH sound when they can't see it? There's another sensory system, which is feeling. Can you feel your teeth bite your bottom lip? Can you feel your tongue stick out between your teeth for the th sound?
Right.
So the basic skills that need to be developing before you get to the phonics instruction is what we call phonological awareness. That's your ability to hear a word and split it apart into sounds.
Wow. So in your practice, I mean, obviously this is something you are not only passionate about, but knowledgeable about.
Yeah.
So, but in your practice, I mean, how many people come to you for that? Or are your clientele kind of a bigger spectrum than that?
The prevalence of learning disabilities in reading, or even dyslexia, because most people don't know that those really are synonymous terms. They mean the same thing. Dyslexia and a reading disability means you have trouble reading words. That's over 90% of my business. Most all of my clients come in, and we treat clients as young as 2.5 and as old as 75 and up. Because like you said, if you didn't get the right intervention as a 6-year-old, you're going to be a 46-year-old still struggling. But it's not too late, because the brain has the capability to rewire itself at any age. There's only one point in life.
Good news for me.
Yeah, you got here, Robin. There's only one point in life when the brain can't make new connections. You know what that is?
Yeah.
That's when that's it. Death. The only time you can't learn something new is when you're dead. So as long as you're alive, we know the brain can make new connections. In our stroke research, Larry, we did one paper on a woman. She was 54 years after her stroke, and she still had trouble learning how to read because of her stroke.
Oh, wow.
The stroke had happened 54 years ago.
Wow.
We wrote a professional paper about it, did a case study on her to show we successfully changed her ability to silently read to herself.
Do you know what I have a hard time with? And this is not a reference to the Bible as the Bible, but the Bible is a hard book for me, and here's why. Because there are so many names that you can't pronounce, and it's like driving down a road with lots of potholes. It's like, oh yeah. Let me go down an easier road where there's a Bill and there's a John. Well, there is a John, I guess.
Yes, there is.
and the other thing is they throw too many characters at you at one time. I mean, you're just getting to know one guy, and now you got to know. Plus, in the Bible, they have Peter is also known as John, is also known as Frank. I mean, they got so different names, also known as, the father of the son of the mother. So I feel like I have a reading disability when it comes to that book.
Yeah, and that becomes a working memory experiment, which is how many names can you learn, how fast can you learn them, and can you understand this form of English you're not used to reading? It's not written in modern day English. So that challenges your comprehension skills on several realms.
But can you imagine, this, I've thought about this so many times, somebody who is illiterate, cannot read, right? They can't wait, they heard about the Marion County Literacy Council, they can't wait for this improvement in their life, and they're finally starting to get it because the one book they want to read more than any is the hardest book there is to read.
Exactly.
Especially the King James Version.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and not that they shouldn't be trying, but it's got to be almost like, oh my gosh, I don't think I did that well, because they think everybody else can read it.
Right.
But I think we're all, I can't tell you how many times I say the name of something from the Bible and somebody will call up, it's not pronounced that way. It's fastidious. Fastidious.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm saying.
But the point that I want to address that you mentioned too is, if you're an adult and you are struggling to learn how to read, it's not too late. And yes, the reason why I joined the board of the Marion County Literacy Council is the Marion County Literacy Council has some funding, not enough. This is a plug for all the local businesses. If you want to have more successful community, you've got to help support education. The more we support the Marion County Literacy Council, the more funding we have to help give free tutoring to adults to build these reading skills.
That's it.
Once you got the reading skills, you can then go to college. Once you got a college degree, you have better earning potential.
Right.
You can get a better job. It grows our community in many, many ways.
It is a really wonderful program. Karen Hill introduced us to this program when she was the head of it now, Summer.
Correct.
Summer Gill?
Yes.
Summer Gill.
Karen Hill and Summer Gill. Okay.
They rhyme.
I just realized it was the same rhyming name. And we fell in love with the concept. We understood it right away. We happened to have won one of the Kiss the Horse things, and so we're trying to win again this year, even though you're trying to win too.
We are.
Have you ever kissed a horse?
No, I have never kissed a horse. I have to say that. But I'll do it for literacy. I absolutely will.
So can we take a little break and then we'll be right back? Because I know I missed my break. So we'll take a little break and be right back. And Dr. Tim Conway is here, and he is helping us understand how the Marion County Literacy does what they do. And being on the board, they have a great resource in you. So we'll take a little break and be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. It'll be mostly cloudy and breezy today with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, the high 76 to 80. Clearing skies tonight, breezy and cooler, the lows ranging from the mid-40s in a few inland spots to the mid-50s at the coast. Sunshine, breezy and chillier tomorrow, the high 66 to 70. Sunday, sunny but quite cool, high 66 to 70. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Whether you're building it up or knocking it down, get it done, rent it now. Sunbelt Rentals is here to make your job a little easier. Our knowledgeable staff will help you find the right equipment for any job, big or small. Did you know that Sunbelt Rentals carries heaters, air conditioners, generators, lighting, traffic control, and so much more? So whether you're building it up or knocking it down, we've got the equipment you need. Get it done, rent it now. And right now, for a limited time, you can have it for less. Just by mentioning this ad, if you rent it Friday afternoon, you can keep it the whole weekend and only pay for one day. But this is a limited time offer, so stop into Sunbelt Rentals today, Northwest 27th, just a quarter mile east of I-75. For more information, just give us a call, 352-369-9101. 352-369-9101. Sunbelt Rentals. Get it done, rent it now. 352-369-9101.
Hi, I'm Seth with AA Lock, Dock, and Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house or business? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car cost so much? Well, at AA Lock, Dock, and Security, we can help with securing your valuables. We can even replace those expensive transponder keys. We can give you the knowledge that no one else will. Call AA Lock, Dock, and Security at 867-1965. That's 867-1965.
Hi, I'm Leah Caruso with Strive Rehabilitation, inviting you to join me Thursday at 11 a.m. for Health Matters. Ocala Health and Strive have teamed up to bring you the latest information on good health services available to you right here at home. This vital information will help you make informed decisions about your health. So don't forget to join me here at 11 a.m. Thursday. It's news you can use from Ocala Health, Strive, and your friends here at WOCA.
Buried under receipts and confusing tax code? Let Crippen & Company help. They work hard to make the tax preparation process as painless as possible. With offices in Ocala and the Villages, their team is dedicated to helping clients with corporate and personal tax returns, bookkeeping for businesses, and estate planning for the future. Crippen & Company crafts a truly customized experience for each client's needs while alleviating stress and creating a big picture of your overall financial health. Call 352-732-4260 or visit crippencpa.com to get started. All right, 8 minutes before 11 o'clock. Dr. Tim Conway is here. He's a clinical psychologist, and we're focusing on the Marion County Literacy Council. He's on the board of the council. And your office and your practice up in Gainesville or both cities?
Both cities. We opened the clinic in Gainesville in 1986, and we opened the clinic in Ocala in 2011.
So let me just point out something I was thinking during the break. During the break, I was thinking this, that if I were in a community and I realized that I could, the expression, give a man a fish he eats for a day, teach him a fish. So if I could teach people who didn't know how to read, they could get better jobs.
Right.
And let's say I got together with Robin and some people in my church or whatever, and I said, let's have some classes teaching adults how to read. And none of us have the background you have.
Right.
We would do what we thought we needed to do. We would have good intentions, and we would have people wanting to learn to read. They would come in to read, and we would be teaching them the way we were taught, and it wouldn't work.
Correct.
So that's why what you bring to the table is so important. In your time you're new to the board, but have you changed some of the ways that they do things at the Literacy Council?
We're working on it. Summer and I have plans to figure out how to take our methods and put them into practice with the tutors the Literacy Council has. But there's several factors that actually are going to be obstacles. One is you need more tutors. And some of these tutors are going to be volunteers, and there's adults in the community who want to donate a specific amount of time per week, and then we'll help set up the training for them and teach them the methods they will need to use. They'll be the most effective. But there's also the cost factor, helping pay for the building, pay for electricity, pay for.
Well, that's why we're trying to kiss a horse.
Exactly. Yeah, both of us.
we have an easier job than you, actually, if you think about it. I mean, I know you're doing the kiss the horse thing too, but I mean, as far as volunteering, to play oompa music, which is our thing. But I mean, anything that anybody's done, there's some clever ideas out there. And ultimately, when this campaign is over, the dollar amount is going to probably last not even a whole year, I'm guessing.
Right. It'll be thousands of dollars. It'd be nice if we raised $10,000 or $20,000, but that's still going to be, easily spent within 1 year's time.
Right, okay.
You know, and in Gainesville, in Alachua County, I partner with the actual Alachua County Library Association. They have a hardline funding for literacy, but we don't have that kind of funding in Ocala, and we need it. We need some hardline funding, some regular funding that goes straight into the Marion County Literacy Council. That will help us build these programs, grow these programs, and have long-term ability to actually make a big impact.
Well, since you have the call out for adults that need to learn how to read and other everyday items that they need, how do you handle their embarrassment when they come in? Because they're embarrassed to even admit it, but they need to admit it to get help.
Usually education helps decrease embarrassment. When you help people learn that it's genetic, blame your dad if you want to, blame your mom if you want to, but it's passed on genetically just like eye color and hair color, and that's how they got it too. So it's not because you weren't smart enough. It's not because you didn't try hard enough. Now, if you're an adult who never had regular schooling, maybe your parents were farm workers, migrant farm workers, and you traveled a lot.
Right.
That's different. That's an environmentally induced reading problem, which meant you never really had regular instruction. Well, that means you just need regular instruction. In that situation, most any method's going to work. But when you've had regular schooling and you really struggled and it didn't build the skills, that's where our methods come into play. We have the science-based methods that really go back and build those foundational skills that then support your ability to learn phonics, that supports your ability to learn how to memorize sight words, supports your ability to actually become more fluent and accurate in your reading skills.
And since you're part of the Kiss the Horse fundraising, what kind of events do you have targeted?
Right now we have one big campaign, and it's a mini iPad. We have 2 of them. We're raffling them off. If you go to the MarionCountyLiteracy.org, which is the council's website, MarionLiteracy.org,
right.
They've got a PayPal button there. For every $1 you donate, just send us a copy of that receipt, and for every $1 you donate is one
vote for you?
Vote. Well, it's a vote for me, and it's one entry for the giveaway of the mini iPads. We have 2 of them, a gray one and a black one.
I see.
Away.
Okay.
For every $1 you donate to Marion County, you email us the receipt at info@morriscenters.com.
Okay.
And again, that's plural. It's Morris Centers with an S at the end.
Okay.
So info@morriscenters.com. Email us the receipt, and for every $1 you gave, that's your entry for the raffle that we're giving away.
Nice.
So we're hoping to beat the.
So who kissed the horse?
Group.
You or Rona? Who's going to kiss?
I'm the one who's going to kiss the horse.
You're going to kiss the horse.
I'm happy to do it. We hope to raise thousands of dollars and really help impact literacy here in Marion County.
Your whiskers might tickle the horse, though.
Yeah. When I
Let's
kissed,
hope he doesn't sneeze.
the year I kissed the horse, here's the thing. Robin and I worked together to raise the money that year. I felt so bad that she didn't get to kiss, because that year I said, well, can't we both do it? No. There was some rule.
That's right.
Some rule. The horse was going to get upset.
Yeah.
2 people. So
Interesting.
So this year, if you lose, then we win.
That's right.
Although there are some big money people in this running.
There's some very big competitive people too. Whether they got big money or not, there's lots of
They're not
competition.
more competitive than me.
All right.
They're richer than me.
That's
right.
and me as well.
Terrible.
So how many Oompas have you done so far there?
6.
All right.
I've done 6 Oompas.
I've only sold a few raffle tickets, so I need to get this going.
I know we're not going to win at this rate, but
we're
still trying. That's right.
Yeah. Well, it is an opportunity to have fun. It's an opportunity to plug into something that we believe in too.
Right.
I mean, and here's the thing. We have a lot of people asking us to help out with different things, and you can really only do one at a time.
Right.
Sometimes they overlap, but it's just so in the course of a year, maybe you can do 6 or 7 things. It's hard to do all. So the best thing we can do is to help people get the word out about what they're doing. So in this particular case, we're part of it. But if not, then you would have been here promoting your thing. We want to support you too.
Yes,
so
excellent.
So 2. What do you call them? Mini
iPad minis.
iPad minis.
So it's the Apple iPad, but it's the mini version. It's the smaller iPad.
Really?
So we have 2 of the iPads. Each of them are worth over $200 each. And we're just giving them away. All you got to do is donate to the Marion County Literacy Council at MarionLiteracy.org.
There you go.
Email me the receipt, and for every $1 you gave, you've got an entry or a ticket into the raffle, and we'll do a drawing just before the contest ends, which I think is April
28th.
Yes.
Yeah, so make those purchases now. Email us the receipt at info@morriscenters.com, and then you're registered, and you've got a chance to win an iPad mini.
That's right. Well, you're doing that. You can invite us to do the Oompa. You can invite Jim Ross to be your butler.
Right.
He can iron your newspaper.
You can. Let's see. There's a stargazing event coming up. There's a wine and cheese event coming up. We're going to get them all together and make sure we talk about all of them.
Exactly.
A lot of great events.
In the end, all of the money that gets raised is for the people who will be so much better off. Gosh, I should have asked you this earlier. I was going to ask for a success story, but there's no time. Give me your website again. Is it the?
It's themorriscenter.com.
The Morris Center.
The Morris Center.
Okay, all right.
MorrisCenter.com.
And I'll have to ask you another time where the name came from. Dr. Tim Conway, thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
From the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.